Welcome. You are about to take a journey to a place of the divine love within with Deborah Beauvais on the Love by Intuition show. For the next hour, allow her to prepare you in becoming a magnet for a profound love-infused relationship by identifying and focusing on solutions through love. Awaken the light within and let your essence shine. And now, here's Deborah Beauvais on Love by Intuition, all part of the Dream Vision 7 radio network.
Bonjour, mes amis. Welcome. And yes, this is Deborah Beauvais, founder and owner of the Dream Vision 7 radio network. And if you're tuning in for the first time, we are a Boston-based, fully producing internet radio station with all the bells and whistles. You can listen to us wherever you are in the world. You can ask Alexa to play Dream Vision 7 radio. You can get our apps, listen in the car, all those good things. And I welcome you to listen to all the archives of not only my show, but to listen to the station as well. We have a guest that needs to be heard. The wisdom that pours out of her is just phenomenal. And so check it out. It's Dream Visions, all one word with an S on the end, the number 7, radio.com. And this is a live show. You can call in, ask our guest or myself a question, or make a statement. Our toll-free number is 833-220-1200. Again, 833-220-1200. Bob is in the house, and he will answer your call and put you right through. So, my guest is Mary O'Malley. She is actually one of our hosts on the Evolutionary Voices for the Quantum Age platform, and she has such a vast amount, a rich amount of divine wisdom that I wanted to have her on the show. It's been 8 years since we've done this. We're going to focus on one of her earlier books, Belonging to Life, and just the first line, Belonging to Life offers an invitation into the rapture of being alive, the joy of belonging to a greater process, and the deep healing of being present in our own lives. Now, Mary is an author, counselor, speaker, and an awakening mentor whose work awakens others to the joy of being fully alive. She's inspired, and her inspired and transformative approach to working with challenges of life offers a way to replace fear, hopelessness, and struggle with ease, well-being, and joy. She's had a traumatic childhood, and I'd like her to share a little bit about that, and then move into all the rich divine wisdom that she has. So without further ado, Mary, welcome to the show.
Oh, Deborah, I'm so happy to be here. We've been sidekicks for a while on this great journey of inviting other people into really, truly engaging with their lives, because that is what will heal the chaos of our time.
Absolutely. And I just love your soul. I have to say, I feel you, and I just love your soul. So it's an honor to have you on the station, gracing our airwaves, and it's an honor to have you on the show. And there's so many phrases within your Belonging to Life book, as well as all your others, and even listening to you, and I've shared this, listening to the show when you're on, which is every Thursday, 8 a.m. and 8 p.m. Eastern Time, 5 and 5 if you're out on the Pacific Coast. The things that you share really shake you up, or it brings it like you stop what you're doing and you tune in. And one of those things I love that you say is the labyrinth of the mind, and then us wanting, fearing, and numbing out. Those are the things that I love those words and how you just say it as it is. So let's do this. Let's start with a little overview of your journey, and then when you met Stephen Levine, or Levine, and then when you woke up, when you really shifted your thought process.
Right. I was gifted with a very traumatic childhood. And why do I say I was gifted? Because in the time that we are living in, it's so easy just to stay caught in your mind. I mean, we were wide open. We were 360-degree balls of radiance when we were born. And slowly and surely, all of us learn how to tighten our body, hold our breath, and escape to our mind. So most people don't realize that they experience life through thoughts. And that is just such a limited way to experience this grand, mysterious, wondrous, awesomely creative adventure called life. And so my childhood led to 2 mental hospitals, 3 suicide attempts, hating myself for being a failure at suicide. Thank God I was. And once during that time I gained 97 pounds in a year, all trying to get away from the pain that I didn't know how to deal with it. There was nobody there, helping me deal with the enormous pain that I took on. And then when I was 27, my mother had signed up for a yoga weekend, and she said, "Oh, I can't go. Would you be willing to go?" And it was kind of like, "Oh, well, okay, yoga schmoga, right, And I walked into that room, and the man that taught it, he came up from California. I live in the greater Seattle area, and my life changed from a B-grade black and white horror movie to a Dolby surround sound Technicolor Panavision movie. I knew I was hearing truth for the first time. But when I left that room, I couldn't tell you what he said, And so every time he came up from California, I would go see him. And one of those times I lugged in, this dates me a lot, reel-to-reel tape deck, recorded the whole thing, transcribed the whole thing, and that little book was my godsend. And then when my house and my store burnt down to the ground and I lost everything, I grieved mainly the loss of that book. So the last time he came up, I went to him and I said, "I want to tell you what I'm hearing you say, the core, and I want you to tell me if I'm on the right track." And he said, "Yes, okay." And I said, "In the seeing is the movement." And his eyes just twinkled. And what he's basically saying is that everybody tried to fix me. And so I learned to be in fix-it mode with myself. And that's what most people do. If they just fix their life, then everything will be okay. But he said that true healing happens when you can relate to the struggles inside of you rather than from them. When you can learn how to say, "Oh, fear is here," rather than "I am afraid." But he didn't teach it with heart. So I spent 11 years trying to do this, always feeling like I was a failure at doing this. And then the good grace, wonderful grace, Stephen Levine came into my life. And he brought me back home to my heart. And he helped me to see that there was, all the unskillful things I had done, all the unskillful things my parents had done, my sister had done. There is nothing that doesn't deserve to come home to our hearts. So then people had asked me to teach for, ever since I met Joel when I was 27. There was no way I was going to do that. And so then I began to teach, and then I began to lead retreats, and then I began to write, and now it's 6 books later, and what a journey it's been. And I think I would say it really is a journey back into the wise wisdom of our hearts.
Right. And that tightening that you talk about closes the heart. And
Yes.
it's when we are able to just be in that moment, it opens the heart. Do you, during the day of your everyday, do you hold your hand over your heart and talk with it and talk with your little child within? I do. And
Absolutely.
Some people laugh at me and say, "What does that have to do with anything?" But that's okay. That's okay. But I'm more open to show it things like that.
Exactly, because we have to understand that probably most people listening to this show absorbed English when they were growing up. I mean, it doesn't matter what language you absorbed. You absorbed the language around you, and you absorbed the unconsciousness of all the people around you. Fear, despair, hopelessness, shame, rage, and we all took this stuff on, and it became what I call a storyteller in our heads. And most of us are lost in the storyteller all day long. We just tumble from one thought to another, and we're very happy when we get things together, and we're very unhappy when they fall apart, as they naturally will do. And so there is a part of us. Healing isn't getting rid of anything. It's about finding more space around it, more compassionate space. And believe you me, I mean, I was terrified. My main kind of fear was dread. That's the feeling that something really horrible is going to happen, and I am to blame. So that was the kind of fear I carried.
I'm sorry.
Go ahead.
Do you still have part of you, because as we know, we're learning, as long as we're here, we're learning about our bodies, ourselves. Do you have a piece of that feeling still within you that it comes up, bubbles up from time to time, and then you have to go into that and open the space?
Yes, absolutely. It isn't enlightenment. That's, I was going to an enlightenment in the 60s, and we were going to leave it all behind. We were going to Shambhala, and all that.
Yes, and the reason I'm asking you, Mary, is because you learn that with years. You learn that, but there are a lot of people out there that are still, including myself at times, because this is all part of our life. You go back to the fixing part. You go back to the,
Yeah, but Stephen changed the word enlightenment to lightenment. Isn't that beautiful? So, yes, if you put me in, my sister had gone to visit Amachi in India about a month ago, and then she got very, very ill, and she was on the edge of life. And these great challenges of life always bring up the core building blocks of our separate self, of that storyteller that talks in our head all day long. And what I now know is that these challenges are for us because they bring up the vestiges of those old beliefs that life is not trustable, that you should be afraid, you should try to control life. That is the core piece of the separate self. I've got to control life, and all that does is cut us off from life. So in these great challenges, it always is an opportunity. It's almost like, I call them monsters children in monster costumes. These parts of ourselves that we had to bury when we were very little because we had we had nobody helping us be with them. And so the challenges of our life help the vestiges of these begin to burble up to the surface like champagne bubbles, and with your heart, you set them free. Magic.
Right. You mentioned monster, and I have to go there. In the belonging of life, you talk about belonging to life. You talk about this monster, and please talk about it. It came to your home, and then finally you looked into its eyes. But tell us a little bit about that, because it shows so much.
Yeah. It is. If we really could step back and watch our mind, you would see it's dualistic in nature. It likes this, it doesn't like that. This is good, this is bad, this is right, this is wrong. It's exclusive. The heart, which science has now shown, is a brain and is our main brain. Mm-hmm. Our heart is inclusive. And so I write about this monster coming to visit you, and it's with a lot of laughter because, oh my God, he's in the living room, and and who brought him in, and then you eventually call 911, and they won't help him, and then eventually what happens? You spend all this time trying to get rid of the monsters, the parts of you that you don't like, and eventually you hear this very quiet voice. And the monster says, listen to me, look at me. And you look into this monster's eyes, and you see these most beautiful eyes. And he says, I am your friend. I am your ally. I am here to free you up from your old conditioning. I don't remember exactly what I said, in that story, but that's the gist of it. Because what we have to do when we were born, we were fully engaged with life. And then as we learn how to manage it, we lost engagement. Most people are just half alive. They don't feel tears when the wind caresses their cheeks, or they don't go lay on the ground and feel the earth loving them. They don't go out to the grocery store and realize that of all the 7.5 billion people on this planet, those are the people that life has chosen to be with them right now. And so management takes over. And what this story was all about was beginning to add engagement. And engagement, as it becomes stronger and stronger, this is curiosity about what is and compassion for what is. Management, it never completely goes away. We need it. But we become much more fascinated in engaging with whatever life is bringing us. And that's what I meant by belonging to life. You begin to belong to the living process of your life. You begin to understand. You wake up every morning and you know whatever life brings you, it is for you. And it's just, God, the only way to live.
Right. When you realize that piece, that it's for us, it changes everything. You may still have the uncomfortable feeling, or you may still have some pain. Yep. All of that comes with it. But the point is, when you see that it's for you, you're looking at it from a different perspective and a whole different way of living. You talk
more
about
spaciousness. Yeah, more spaciousness and more heart. You see, we're all struggling.
Yes, but we don't.
Then you go on Instagram and you see everybody's life, and you think, they have it all together, which is just a crock of you-know-what.
Yes.
We're all struggling. It is hard to be human. It hurts.
And you talk about the light and the dark as friends and trustable, and then we can turn around and be in that space, and then we can turn around again and then make the monster again. Those are the things that it sounds weird, but it excites me because it's just truth. It's the truth of where we are as a human on this earth. And it's okay. It's okay to bring the monster back and then let him go out again. The whole thing, I think, is being friends with, of course, the heart, as you say, but being friends with what pains us. And one of the things that I wanted to ask you is you have said there's an edge to each of us. And I wondered, is that tied to the pain body that Eckhart Tolle talks about?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah. That go back to the 360 ball of radiance. You look into a baby's eyes; they are as big as the universe. And then they did a study once of children and their breathing practices. And every single child, before they went to preschool, was breathing like dogs and cats do. Mm-hmm. Their whole trunk was involved. Not one of the children was breathing their natural breath by the time they went to first grade.
Yeah.
So we begin to hold on. We begin to limit. And we think that is safety. And we did need to do that when we were young, because most of us were raised by what I call unconscious giants. That they may have loved us, but oh my God, they wounded us in ways they didn't even understand they were wounding us. So we became more and more contained. Well, awakening is beginning to expand that edge, not by trying, but just learning how to work with whatever life is bringing you and learning how to meet it from the vast wisdom of your heart.
Mm. Mm. Yeah. Mm. It's just being with it. It feels so good. We need to take our break, and I'm with you. And so I'm not even thinking of a break, but everyone, we must take a break. And we will be back in a moment, and I'll give out the phone number to call in, and stay with us.
Experience a different yet profound healing with Reconnective Healing. Includes yet expands beyond any and all known forms of energy healing. The Reconnective Healing spectrum is comprised of the full healing and evolutionary continuum of energy, light, and information. It allows for healings that are not just physical, not just mental, not just emotional, yet go beyond that to bring healing that includes the evolution of your very being and essence. Deborah Beauvais, trained and certified by world-renowned Dr. Eric Pearl, offers appointment hours at Seacock Family Chiropractic in Seacock, Massachusetts. For questions or to set up both distance or local sessions, call Deborah at 508-431-1959. Again, 508-431-1959. Or go to lovebyintuition.com. That's lovebyintuition.com.
Calling all authors. Have you been considering an audiobook? Well, look no further. Come take advantage of Dream Vision 7 Radio Network's unique in-house audiobook production, which includes benefits and bonuses from our radio station. Let our knowledgeable staff guide you to create the audiobook you've always dreamed of without breaking the bank. Check out our full one-stop service from A to Z, including the ACX process. Schedule a free consultation by calling 508-226-1723. That's 508-226-1723. Or go to dreamvision7radio.com.
After narrowly surviving the attack on Sandy Hook Elementary, first grade teacher Caitlin Roy DeBellis was left searching for answers that would never come. Eventually, she chose to focus on questions that could be answered. How do I make sure this tragedy doesn't define us? How do we get our control back? Those two questions led her to found the 501c3 nonprofit organization Classes for Classes. When gifts poured into their classroom, she decided they would help someone else by paying it forward and being kind. This developed into a social network which allows K through 8 classrooms to connect so that every student in the United States can learn these crucial lessons. Classes for Classes' mission is to build students' social emotional intelligence by connecting them to care. All C4C projects are crowdfunded. Any teacher in the U.S. can visit classesforclasses.org. That's classes, the number 4, classes.org. Sign up today.
Delight your kids with an enchanting journey by reading the Paper Dog Kids children's book by Deborah Beauvais and Janine Sullivan. There's even a catchy tune, Kids for Love Song, produced by Bob Sherwood and sung by kids just like yours. The story weaves around 7 paper dolls flying around the world doing good deeds as they bring important attention to our endangered animal friends. There's even a magical ring with a universal message. Kids become interested in service projects, action through compassion, and planting seeds that nurture positive change. change. The Paper Doll Kids and Kids for Love song are a production of the Kids for Love Project. Get the book now on Amazon Kindle and the song on CD Baby or iTunes.
This is Dream Vision 7 Radio Network, uniting mankind with universal love. Our shows are created from the heart, bringing each listener to a place of divine enlightenment. Breathe, relax, and enjoy. Let life flow.
And we are back. We welcome your calls, so feel free to call in 833-220-1200. Bob is in the house, and we'll put you through, and you can ask your question or make a comment or even share something that you have learned on your awakening journey. We're with Mary O'Malley, and she is acknowledged leader in the field of awakening by many people, including Neil Donald Walsh, Jeff Foster, Jack Cornfield, Stephen Levine, and Christiana Northrup. And Eckhart Tolle actually says, and I have to say that Mary knew Eckhart back when none of us knew him. And he says, "Thank you, Mary, for your contribution to the evolution of human consciousness." If you would like to connect with Mary, you can go on her site. It's Mary O'Malley, just as it sounds, maryo'malley.com. In our next segment, we're going to put out some bonus savings that you can receive. So stay with us through the whole show. And back to Mary. And here we are. Another thought that I had that really, when I was reading Belonging to Life, you talk about the senses. And I love the way you explain, and I did it. And I just looked at my hand like I never saw my hand before. Just that. I don't know. I'm filling up with goosebumps.
Me too.
Just that is so profound. Because as much as I'm on my journey, I've never really stopped and just looked at a part of my body like it was the brand new first time. That is so powerful that you get into the deepness of touch.
You know, we talk, living in the now, but most people try to live in the now, which is the antithesis of it because it takes you out of the now. But the senses are a wonderful way to begin to touch again the immediacy of the moment, because when we were young, we learned to be afraid of the now. The now was filled with a lot of pain, a lot of confusion, a lot of heartache. And so this is one of the ways that you can kind of begin to braille your way back. You can use smells that if you smell, new mown lawn, rather than just going, I like that smell. You actually take a few moments and you let it in. You let your whole body revel in that. Or you're sitting in your garden, which you sat in for 20 years, every single night except when it's, storming. And all of a sudden you really see a tree before you as if you have never seen it before. We can do that with taste. Oh my God! I when I used to lead retreats, we would do this whole thing with eating a raisin, and people would say, "Oh my God, I have eaten handfuls of raisins my whole life. I have never tasted a raisin." To see everything it took to bring this raisin to you, and then to actually put it into your mouth and not chew it, but actually begin to explore it. You can use any one of your senses to give yourself the gift throughout the day of these little moments where there's no past, there's no future, there's just life, and you begin to see the magic and the wonder that you have been missing. We're all heartbroken. We are all longing to really be fully alive, and yet we don't know how to come back home to the moment.
Right. And that's, we really need to feel. We really need to know we are loved by ourselves. All those pieces are so important, and we need to remind ourselves, because we do get caught up in the day-to-day and the responsibilities. And usually if you're experiencing something that's a little heavy and it's new, it can trigger things that have happened before. And it's okay, because I used to say, well, gee, I already worked on that, and there were so many layers, and I did all that. But again, it's all part of life, because we are in our heads, and it when it's in our head as it is, and bringing up a trigger or whatever it may be, that's when we need to just turn and listen and pay attention and just be with it. And in the early days, it seemed like we were supposed to get rid of it all.
Exactly.
Keep going.
That's what we were.
Going, get rid of it all.
Absolutely. Yep. I was going to enlightenment. I was going to leave this all behind. But because we didn't know how to turn toward safely, and that's what all my books are about, really how to be alive. But being alive means giving the light of your accepting attention to everything that you had to stash deep inside of you because you didn't know what to do with it when you were young. Right. And so that it's just that slow process. Eckhart says, I love this, and I won't get all the words exactly right, but this is a quote from him. Life will give you the exact set of experiences you need in order to become a conscious human being. What I mean, being really living fully, being here for life. How do we know they're the right set of experiences? Because you are having them. And so life wants us to become free. And the true way, it's what I learned from Joel all those years ago in the Seeing is the Movement. There's nothing inside of you that needs to be fixed. There's nothing inside of you that's bad or wrong. We are all a mix of dark and light. But when our darkness comes, it causes us to contract, and then we get lost in struggle. If we can learn how to go towards, and it's just like if you're having an argument with a loved one, and you've left, they've left, and then you're all of a sudden realizing, oh my God, I'm getting what they're trying to say. And so when they come back, you say, oh, I understand what you were trying to say. What happens to the other person? Oh, they get heard. It just dissipates all the tension. It's the same thing with these parts inside of us. And when you learn the skills of learning how to do that, then it is safe. If you try to go there without a skill set, then you can easily be gobbled up. You get close to these, like for me, when I was trying to work with dread before I met Stephen Levine, it would come, and I would try to go be with it, and then I would just get gobbled up inside of it, And then, but slowly and surely with Stephen's help, I learned how to not only go towards it, but open my heart to it. It's just a scared part of me. And now dread is quiet most all the time. Every once in a while, when I couldn't get a hold of my sister in India, it was so scary, and it stirred up all this stuff. But the other thing that you begin to realize, the further you go down the path, the more that you have met all these moving pieces that make you up, the more you realize that when a state comes, this is not only yours, it is ours. We all are caught in these dark states. And when you turn and say hello and welcome, like I did with the story of the monster in Belonging to Life, you are helping in the healing of all beings. Because we all have that. Everybody has dread. You may not have as much as I did, but we all have dread. We all have anger. We all have shame. We all have fear. We all have loneliness. We have it all. But we can make a difference in what's happening on our planet right now by being willing to say hello to what we formerly resisted.
I'm so glad that you brought that up, because many people may not see that. They're focused on what is happening in the world versus looking within to see what they may be holding, or they may just say, well, yes, I don't do that, or I don't have that.
Yeah.
But we all do at some level. We all do, and it just is. And so if we can bring the heart to all of that, we can change the collective, just like it's changing now with bubbling up, because we're all, there's many people that believe that we are ascending, but we are moving. We are moving out of some level, but it needs to get, it's all happening for us to wake us up so that we can turn it around.
Absolutely.
You know that. You must agree with that, and probably can talk to that in a more in-depth way, or in a way for others to understand.
Well, I just got back from the editor of my 6th book, and it's called The Joy of Being Fully Alive, A Journey to the Mountain of Being, and it is in story form. And so you see, the first line is, it's a 5-year-old little girl. She's not quite sure how she got to this ridge above the Valley of Forgetting. And at the other end of the valley, she sees this most beautiful mountain, the Mountain of Being. And she knows her life is a journey to that mountain. And when she goes down the switchbacks into the Valley of Forgetting, which we all do, she can still see glimpses of the mountain. And then she gets caught in the valley, and she eventually locks herself up in the fort called Mind with a lot of other people. But then she feels compelled and to continue on her journey. And as she moves through the forest and then the meadows and onto the mountain, wolf pups and sprained ankles and dewdrops and rainbow, all these conspire to help her to see that she is a part of something greater. And as she ascends the mountain, her heart is just wide open. There's no more them and us. And so this is what I feel is happening, that everything is evolution. At one time, everybody that's listening was like less than 2 feet tall, and they have evolved. So too with the earth. And the earth tried this experiment, about 1 million years ago, where it brought forth a frontal lobe. And most of the time that human beings have been on this planet, we have been lost in a me kind of consciousness. Right. And that brings forth, politicians that, keep people enamored through fear, or it brings forth dictators, and it brings forth no care for the planet, and so on and so forth. But more and more of us are moving into what I call the we kind of consciousness, and that is what happens when she finally gets to the Mountain of Being, and she can see this broader perspective. And everybody that is listening, whether you know it or not, are a part of this shift from me to we. And know that I know there's a human being on this planet that knows that whatever life is bringing you, it is a part of that journey. And believe you me, when you come more and more to the Mountain of Being, when you learn how to open to the creative flow of your life, whether it's easy or difficult, that is coming home. That is coming home, and people that discover that will become a part of the healing of our planet. She has a moment up there where she sees all the destruction, and her heart is just aching. And she doesn't know if enough of us will wake up in time in order to save our planet. But then she looks and she sees all these people coming out of the Valley of Forgetting from around her mountain and onto the Mountain of Being, and then she looks and she can see that's happening in the mountains of the south, and she realizes it's happening all over the world. And that's why Dream Visions is so important, because we need a place where we can remember the me kind of consciousness that doesn't really care for our fellow human beings and judges them for the color of their skin, for heaven's sakes. I mean, really, that is very thick right now. But the we kind of consciousness, it is arising everywhere, and we need support.
Right. Right. You know, I usually ask towards the end of the show how you see the world today. And you've already talked about it, of what you see. And with the new book, what you're teaching is all part of where we're going as a species. Right. So I thank you for that, because you're playing such a huge piece in the collective of ascension, evolution, all of that good stuff that we all yearn to have. We yearn to have love and
connection,
feel safe and connection. And that is so important, that going back to the touch, because I think about my mother-in-law, which I was the caregiver there for, 10 years, and it evolved from there. But it was the pandemic with the no touch that really ended her life. And it just shows you, with experiencing the pandemic, that all of us, we need touch. We need communication. We need to see each other. I think that is so key to survival of life. And I mean, we're on the survival. That's the mindset that we've been all these decades and centuries, and it needs to shift, and it is, but we need that love. We need the touch. So we need to take our next break, and I have another question for you when we come back. And for those listening, don't be shy. There's still time to call, but hurry up. We'll be back.
Take a journey to a place of the divine love within with Deborah Beauvais on the Love by Intuition Show, Monday through Friday at 6 p.m. and 6 a.m. Eastern. Our message is love in the purest form. The light within us all is a guide to recall our beginning, to learn to love self and humankind, and to feel the higher power of our own divinity. To attract love, one needs to be love. Come join us and step into this glorious vibration called love.
Delight your kids with an enchanting journey by reading the Paper Doll Kids children's book by Deborah Beauvais and Janine Sullivan. There's even a catchy tune, Kids for Love Song, produced by Bob Sherwood and sung by kids just like yours. The story weaves around 7 paper dolls flying around the world doing good deeds as they bring important attention to our endangered animal friends. There's even a magical ring with a universal message. Kids become interested in service projects, action through compassion, and planting seeds that nurture positive change. The Paper Doll Kids and Kids for Love Song are a production of the Kids for Love Project. Get the book now on Amazon Kindle and the song on CD Baby or iTunes.
Are miracles real? Can you move from mayhem to miracles? 30 prominent authors say yes as they share their high fives and down lows of challenges, abuse, addiction, and love. Experience hope, the magic elixir of miracles, through the personal stories of New York Times bestselling authors James Redfield, Dr. Bernie Siegel, Sister Jenna, Reverend Temple Hayes, and many more. If you like bestsellers, chaos to clarity, and crappy to happy, you'll love crying and laughing through mayhem to miracles. Sacred stories of transformational hope. Available now on Amazon and in bookstores worldwide.
It's a child's job to play, to learn, and to have fun. It's an adult's job to keep them safe. Did you know that 1 in 4 girls and 1 in 6 boys will be sexually abused before the age of 18? Every day, families enter the Children's Advocacy Center because a child's courage to tell someone what happened to them. Keeping our children safe starts with a conversation. This is Michelle Aranger, Executive Director of the Children's Advocacy Center. Learn more on how to keep your child safe. Visit cacofbc.org. This message made possible by the Fall River Rotary Club.
This is Dream Vision 7 Radio Network, uniting mankind with universal love. Our shows are created from the heart, bringing each listener to a place of divine enlightenment. Breathe, relax, and enjoy. Let life flow.
And here we are again. Mary, you have, many of us have experienced chronic pain.
Yeah.
How do you deal with that? And do you still utilize opening your heart and seeing it through your heart in order to live your day-to-day? What are your tools?
we all experience a lot of pain, physically, mentally, emotionally, and spiritually. And we've all been taught that pain is bad and wrong. It's something you must get rid of. Look at the opioid crisis, for heaven's sakes. We are not just opioid. Look at shopping. Just look at shopping. Look at busyness. We're all trying to get away from what is uncomfortable. But what I have discovered is that going towards what is uncomfortable, if you have a good skill set, that can open up the tightness around it, whether it's physical, mental, emotional, and spiritual. And you know that, in my 20s, I was in a head-on automobile accident. I was on a highway in Switzerland, and a man was coming towards me, and he had a heart attack and came over and hit me head-on. So I've lived in a lot of pain. I've had 3 back surgeries. But I am grateful for this, because it really has been my teacher. Remember what Eckhart said, life will give you the exact set of experiences you need in order to really wake up out of the dream of struggle. And it's just fascinating. It's a process. It's like if you go to the gym, if you pick up the 50-pound weights, at the beginning, you'll hurt yourself. And so I'm not recommending this to people that have really big chronic pain. But I'm saying find the little pains in your life, the stubbed toe, the mosquito bite that itches and is driving you crazy, that you take just a few moments and turn towards and open to it, to be fully there with it. And you will discover, and science is now showing this, you will discover that most of your pain is your resistance to that pain. So the pain in my body has taught me how to go towards, how to open. And they have done MRIs now, and they have shown that when somebody's attention is fully there with an area of pain in the body, blood flows more, there's more nerve activity, there's more metabolic activity, that literally attention heals. And that's the same true for your shame, it's for your worry, it's for all levels of pain. I think that I was gifted with taking on as much pain as you could and still survive, and then life taught me what I call engagement. That doesn't mean that I don't doctors and, I don't have management in my life. But my primary way of working with any pain is engagement, of turning towards and saying hello.
Powerful. So now, shifting gears, let's talk about, or you would share some of the promotions that you have for your online courses.
Yes, we decided. Deborah is my sidekick. She runs my business. She and her daughter works for me now, which is wonderful. And I have 3 online courses, and they're $397 each, and we're getting $200 off. So of each one, $347, I think, $347, and then $100 off. So they can do one, or they can do all 3. The first one is What's in the Way is the Way, which is based on my wonderful book, What's in the Way is the Way. I tell people you don't even need to read the book, just live the title. One is based on my book, The Gift of Our Compulsions, really understanding that how we have dealt with compulsions is manage it. And I think the statistics from the U.S. Surgeon General really show that doesn't work. I mean, fighting drug addiction does not work. 98% of every pound that is lost in the U.S. is gained back, plus some within a year and a half. And so this is how to work with all levels of compulsion in a way that really heals them to the core. And then the last one is the Falling in Love with You, my latest one, and it's based on my little book called Falling in Love with You. This is the most important thing a human being can do for the healing of our planet. And yet there's so many blocks to it. We think it's selfish, and we think we are unworthy, and we think we have done bad and wrong things. And this course walks you through each of those so the debris in your heart is released, and that you can fall in love with you exactly as you are. And when you do that, you engage with the world in a completely different way, becoming a healing presence in the world. And we desperately need people who are discovering the courage of how to fall in love with themselves exactly as they are.
And that's the key, exactly as we are at this moment. Not a year from now or 6 months, just in this moment. Yeah.
Because we're all a mix, Deborah, of dark and light. We're all a mix of dark. Every single atom that makes up every single thing on this planet has a positive and negative charge. Same with human beings. And it's so easy to focus on the negative. And then you live contained, you live half alive. I just invite people into the courage, and the root word for courage is from French. It means big heart. To have the courage to heal their heart so they can become a healing presence in the world.
Absolutely. Yeah, and then on September 19th, you have a free webinar called Trust in the Chaos of Our Time.
Yeah. Can we trust the chaos of our time? It's so, if you really look at the evolution on this planet, whenever a new phase was coming, always the old would rear up and it would get very chaotic. And so that's the kind of time we're in. We're shifting from the me kind of consciousness to the we kind of consciousness. So this is for an hour and a half on Tuesday night. The next Tuesday, I can't remember what day it is. I think it's the 19th. And if you are in a different time zone, you can email Deborah if you have any questions, anything you want to share, and then she will give them to me, and I will talk about them on that night. But we will be exploring. I will be taking questions, and then everybody will get a recording.
Very nice. Very nice. And all of that is on the Love by Intuition page, and I'm sure that on our Dream Vision site, and I'm sure that it's on Mary O'Malley's website as well, which is maryo'malley.com. And I invite everyone to listen to her radio show, which is called What's in Your Way is the Way, and it's every Thursday, and that's only in a couple of days, so 8 a.m. and 8 p.m. Eastern Time, 5 and 5 on the West Coast.
And with lots of previous shows, because I've been on for, I don't know how many years, Deborah. So, there's lots of previous shows that you can download at any time.
That's right. And listen to them as many times as you like, and same with reading. I find that if you read the book more than once, maybe wait a month and then read it again, or even if it's a year from there, read it again, and you can pull in so much more information that you can apply to your own life and journey.
Right.
And it's just perfect. So yes, and we only have a couple of minutes left. What would you like to leave the listeners with, Mary?
I just invite them to come sit with me on the moon and look over at this beautiful, beautiful blue, green, white jewel of a planet and see the vastness of space that is floating in, and see such creativity. I mean, snow-capped mountains, and how many myriad blues, of the waters, and all the different tans and browns of the land, and then see that there's 7.5 billion people on this planet that are not aware of this mother. They're not aware that we are the earth become animated, and see them walking around with clouds around their heads. And then see all over this planet people who have cleared the clouds of their mind so their hearts are wide open, and see as they meet somebody with the clouds, that person, you don't even have to say anything. It's just your presence. When you are fully with another person, some of those clouds can lift, and then see that beginning to spread all across our planet, that we finally wake up to who we truly are. And you, because you are listening, are a part of that healing.
Beautiful. Okay. I'm there. Well, I want to thank you so much for gracing this hour with your wisdom. You're such a joy. And you can feel your soul, and it's precious. I want everyone out there to share the show, go on the archives, listen to other shows, tune in on Thursdays, 8 in the morning or 8 at night, Eastern Time. Listen to the show again. Just reap in all the goodness that you can acquire from listening to Mary's wisdom. It's so important to your being. And what's neat is at 8 in the morning you could be driving to work and you can tune in and listen from there, or listen once you get at work, or in the evening, whatever you choose to do. And go on the site so that you can see these special coupons with $200 off. So each of these online courses are only $147. But it ends October 15th. So hurry and take advantage of that. So again, thank you, Mary. Everyone out there, go within, feel your heart, put your hand over your heart, and just breathe, and take that moment in your crazy busyness of every day. Just take that moment. And I'm going to suggest, look at your hand like you've never seen it before. I love it. All right. Until we come together again, au revoir.
Are you seeking a clearer path to love? Then tune in to the Love by Intuition show next week. All designed to your highest good. To contact Deborah Beauvais, owner of Empowered Connections, call her at 508-226-1723. That's 508-226-1723. Or link on to lovebyintuition.com. Remember, we are all one, and we are all part of the miracle of love.
This is Dream Vision 7 Radio Network, uniting mankind with universal love. Our shows are created from the heart, bringing each listener to a place of divine enlightenment. Breathe, relax, and enjoy. Let life flow.